There were protests outside the meeting.
Honour your word.
And an activist opposed to any compromise was live tweeting from a source inside. But the Democratic Unionist leader emerged from his party executive, having won support for his deal with the UK government.
The package of measures in totality does provide a basis for our party to nominate members to the Northern Ireland Executive, thus seeing the restoration of the locally elected institutions.
It's 2 years since the DUP ended power sharing at Stormont in opposition to the Brexit border in the Irish Sea. But the government has pledged to table legislation to address unionist concerns over Northern Ireland's place in the United Kingdom. That's not enough for hardline unionists who accuse the DUP of selling out and letting the UK government off the hook.
Well, it is the job of the British government to make sure its borders are secure and that the union remains intact, and it's not doing that. So the first thing we must do is get rid of this Tory traitor government.
It's just unbelievable the way things have panned out, but we need good leadership and we don't have it from the British government or from our own people.
The DUP held the meeting behind closed doors, but a prominent loyalist went viral by posting a running commentary. The protests outside were predictable, but no one could have anticipated details of this highly confidential meeting being live tweeted from inside, an indication of the divisions within unionism and the challenges faced by Sir Geoffrey Donaldson. He has faced down his critics within and without to restore the power sharing at the heart of the peace process. David Blevins, Sky News in County Down.
I'll be chatting to Amanda in just a second about the impact that it's going to have here in Westminster, what needs to happen here in order for it to go forward. Meantime, Stephen's joining us from Belfast, I believe. Hi, Stephen. So, what a day and night it was.
A night of high drama, a meeting that dragged on for many hours, and we eventually saw Sir Geoffrey Donaldson emerge to update the media on the news somewhere around 1 o'clock this morning. So it's still very much a developing story. It's a story Northern Ireland is waking up to, but it now looks as though after 2 years of limbo here at Stormont, we are on the path, on the final path to seeing devolved government return to Stormont. It all depends, of course, on legislation in London being brought forward and passing in the days to come, but we will see, assuming that all goes to plan, the politicians here in Northern Ireland returning here to Stormont. They'll elect a speaker for the Northern Ireland Assembly, and then we will see a First Minister and Deputy First Minister elected. The First Minister will be Michelle O'Neill from Sinn Féin. The first time ever since these institutions were established under the Good Friday Agreement that Northern Ireland will have a nationalist First Minister, although the two jobs are essentially hold the same power and one cannot exist without the other. But symbolically, it will be a huge moment for Northern Ireland. And then, most importantly, really for the people here in Northern Ireland. Kay, you may remember the last time I spoke to you here from Northern Ireland, we saw a day of unprecedented strike action a week and a half ago. There's more transit strikes happening this coming Thursday. The UK government has promised a £3.3 billion package for Northern Ireland, dependent on the return of Stormont, including around £600 million to try and resolve those public sector pay issues. It's everyday issues that really affect the people here in Northern Ireland. That's why they want to see this place back up and running as soon as possible.
OK, for now, Stephen, thanks. Needs to be ratified here?
Yes, it does, absolutely. And there's still various steps that need to go through with the other political parties in Northern Ireland. So I think that's really why we're seeing the government being very cautious about this morning. We've had the Northern Irish Secretary, Chris Heaton-Harris, saying it's a welcome, positive step. The UK government will stick to the offers that were made to the DUP to get them to agree with this. And earlier we had the Minister on, who you asked him whether he was cautiously optimistic, and he said, well, hopefully, yes. We believe in devolution. We believe in getting the devolved government back up and running in Stormont. And of course, for Rishi Sunak, when he became Prime Minister, this really was a big priority for him, was trying to resolve the difficulties surrounding the deal struck by Boris Johnson when he was pledging to get Brexit done, which is seen as such a betrayal by the unionist parties in Northern Ireland. So Rishi Sunak did manage to get the Windsor framework struck with the EU, but that wasn't seen as going far enough. So I think he'll be very pleased to see this going forward, if indeed it ultimately does.